The music industry is a tough place, but they can make it better by infusing that humanity and goodness in everything that they do.
If you're a creative person, if you're a baker, a dancer, a photographer, a screenwriter, an actor, a comedian, a podcaster, and you want to figure out how to make a living doing what you love, this is the show. This is the show. Don't keep your day job. My name is Cathy Heller, and I'm a singer-songwriter. I make a living doing what I love, and I want that for you. This is the show that's going to help you do that and give you not only inspiration, but some real-life strategies. This is going to help you figure out how to take your creative passion and turn it into a profit. This episode of Don't Keep Your Day Job is brought to you by Blue Apron. Check out this week's menu and you're going to get your first 3 meals free with free shipping. Just go to blueapron.com/dreamjob. You're going to love how good it feels and great it tastes because you're going to be able to create incredible home-cooked meals from blueapron.com/dreamjob. Hey guys, it's Cathy Heller. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Keep Your Day Job. Those of you who left us reviews, really, I wanted to say thank you because it helps us so much. When you review our show on iTunes, it helps our show move up the iTunes charts, which helps us get more exposure, and that just helps us keep making this show. So thank you so much. So I've decided to roll something out that I'm really excited about. There's been so many emails coming in. People have questions. So I'm doing a couple things. Number one, I'm going to roll out a full step-by-step online course. This course is going to have videos of me speaking. It's going to have worksheets, slideshows. It's going to have exercises for you to do. And at the end of this course, you're going to have a comprehensive game plan of how to get to where you want to go. How do you reverse engineer what other people have done? How do you use the online tools available to grow your market? How do you create an audience? How do you create content? What kinds of things can you use to streamline all of this? This class is going to help you figure out how to do the research, how to reach out to the people you need to reach out to, and what strategies have worked time and time again. I can't wait till this class goes live. If you're interested in the class, go to the Facebook page. There's going to be a link and you can click on it and you can get more information about the class and when it's going to roll out, etc., etc. By signing up for the email list on my Facebook page, you will also get a discount code so that when the class is open for enrollment, you will get a discount. So that is one thing. There's been so many fantastic things going on. I love that this community is growing. I love how vibrant it is. I love how people are really there posting on Facebook, supporting one another. If you haven't checked out the Facebook page, please come and do it. Now, getting back to the Facebook page, I wanted to talk about some of the awesome things that are happening. It's so cool to see people listening to the podcast and then actually taking some action in their life. It makes me feel like this is all worth it, and I love seeing it. So here's some of the things that have been happening. Danny posted, he said, I've recently started listening to the podcast, and he said it pushed him and his girlfriend to start a blog where they were going to review vegan restaurants and vegan food trucks and help give people who eat that kind of food a full experience of all that's available where they live in Philadelphia. Andrea posted, and she said that she entered a writing contest for the first time. She said she's been wanting to do that since she's a child, and now she's 33, and she did it. She entered a writing contest. So that means so much to me, and way to go, Andrea. That's awesome. And I was going to say, Andrea, post some of your writing on the Facebook page. Let us see it. Nicole posted, she said she's so excited because she started this cupcake business and now she booked her first wedding. She has to do 300 cupcakes for this wedding. She said it's a good thing she loves what she's doing. That's definitely true. And finally, Greg Franklin, he has a business called the Cheesecake Ninja. He's been posting photos of these delicious looking cheesecakes. And Greg was saying that he's finally connected with some people and he's going to now, as a wholesaler, he's going to have his cheesecake in a local coffee shop. So I just love hearing all the things that you guys are doing. I love that you're making these creative pursuits come to life. So continue to come to the Facebook page, continue to tell me about it. And if you want to be part of an experience where I'm going to hold your hand and walk you through step by step, what can you be doing to start getting this off the ground, then I definitely think you should join the course, because in the podcast, I do my best to give you as much as I can, and then we interview awesome guests and we hear their stories. But this class is a comprehensive how-to, so I'll be rolling it out soon, and I can't wait to have some of you in the class and get to know you better in the class. We are in a time that is unbelievable. The capacity that you have, the resources that you have, there is no excuse anymore. Years ago, if you wanted to create something, if you wanted to build an audience, you didn't have the internet. You didn't have the means to even create those things. Now, if you're a designer, you can sell things on Etsy to someone in a totally different country. If you want to have a meeting with someone who's going to be a virtual assistant who lives in China and you live in New Zealand, you can do that. If you want to create graphics that are amazing, you can use canva.com and create a postcard or a Facebook post or an Instagram. You can do lots and lots of things from your own laptop. You can build an audience. You can build a list of people interested in what you're doing. You can create content like a blog or a podcast or YouTube how-to videos, and you can start putting things out there. There is no good reason why you can't be doing what you want to do. One of the things that you're going to find consistent through all of the people that we have the pleasure to interview on this show is that they do stuff. They don't wait for someone to come into their life and make things happen for them. And what's beautiful about you listening to these stories is that you realize there is so much you can go ahead and be doing. And once you start asking yourself these questions, and once you start doing these things, the momentum is going to take on a life of its own. And all of a sudden, you're going to realize just how much you can get busy doing. And by doing that stuff, so much is going to happen. You know, I read a great quote yesterday. Somebody in our Facebook group community posted it, and I loved it. He said, and it was by Milton Berle. And the quote was, "If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door." And I love that. And it's so true. If opportunity doesn't knock, build the door. Build the door. It's time to step up. It's time to step up for yourself. I've heard it said, it's better to finish something than try to be perfect. And the more you finish this thing and then the next thing and the next thing, eventually it will be incredible. It will be a masterpiece. But getting it done, getting it started, getting it finished, moving on to the next thing, that trumps it all. Okay, guys, I want to talk to you about Blue Apron because I've been using it now for a few weeks and it's awesome. I love that they've taken all the guesswork out of making a home cooked dinner. They send me this box that they leave in front of my door and it's packed on dry ice and there's chicken and there's fish and there's vegetables and there's all different kinds of delicious things. And they pre-package all the ingredients so that I can open up the box, we read the 2 recipe cards that they include, and then we get to make these awesome meals. So this week it was curry and it was fish and it was so fun and there's no waste because they're very eco-conscious and so they make sure to pre-package everything and there's no preservatives because it's all fresh. Blue Apron knows that when you cook with incredible ingredients, you make incredible meals. It's really that simple. So they set the highest quality standards for their community of local family-run farms and fisheries and ranchers, whether it's coconut curry or miso butter. Blue Apron is bringing you the absolute best. So I'm really grateful to Blue Apron for supporting our podcast. And remember, when you support our sponsors, they go ahead and support us again. So it's so win-win. And if you go ahead and you use this link, blueapron.com/dreamjob, they're going to know that you were listening to us. So they're going to give you your first 3 meals free with free shipping. Just go to blueapron.com/dreamjob. All right, so now we're going to dive into this interview. We have Bram here. He's just done some amazing things. He started out a student at USC, joined an a cappella group. Next thing he knew, he was working on the sing-off, he was working on Glee, and he wound up starting one of the most incredible groups out there, Pentatonix. And we're going to get to hear your story now, Ben, of how that all came together. So glad you're here.
Thanks for having me, Cathy.
Oh my God, it's such a pleasure. I'm such a, personally, such a fan of Pentatonix and everything else you've ever worked on. So it's very cool to get to hear how this was born.
Oh, thank you.
So take us back to the start. We want to hear the whole journey. So when you were a kid, were you playing piano and putting together a cappella groups? What were you doing?
Yeah, I was, I started my musical journey, started when I was 5 years old. I started playing piano. My mom likes to tell the story about how I wanted to be a conductor and I loved Esa-Pekka and his crazy hair. And I was just I just loved music. And at first it was classical and then it was, kind of pop rock and kid songs like Rafi and all that. And then, so I started with piano. I did classical piano. I got kind of bored of it. I ended up spending a lot of my time playing fake books. So kind of improvising over these kind of well-known songs, noodling around. That's what I love to do most. And then I started playing trumpet and French horn in middle school. And so I was in jazz band and orchestra. I arranged brass quintets and a string quartet in high school. So I was always just really hungry and just doing as much as I possibly could musically. In high school, I had a rock band, a ska band outside of school called 11D. And so we produced 2 EPs and did a bunch of shows at the Roxy and Whiskey We wrote a musical together, kind of Ben Folds 5 piano rock with a string quartet, and we took it to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. But yeah, so in high school, I was kind of trying to be a film composer, and then when I auditioned at colleges and I saw these other composers with giant portfolios, and I had just like a little string quartet and like a minute and a half orchestra piece, and I was clearly out of my element there, and was not at all prepared for composition training as I thought I would be.
And then you went to college,
and then I went to college. I went to USC. I ended up majoring in music industry because I really just wanted to be in the music school there, and I didn't get into the composition program. But I got into USC proper, so I ended up transferring into music industry.
These are the stories that they look back and they're like, we should have accepted Ben Bram. How were we?
Yeah, I think it's either George Lucas or Steven Spielberg didn't get into USC film school.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg. And then he went ahead and like donated all this money.
Yeah, exactly.
He went to school in Long Beach. Like the guy couldn't get it. It's amazing. Okay, so you're in that ilk now. Okay, so then you go to school, and what's happening then?
Yeah, so first of all, when I'm in high school, I'm always wanting to sing more, but I don't have time. I wasn't in choir, didn't have time for it. I was in orchestra, jazz band, all this other stuff. And then I knew when I went to college, I wanted to do a cappella. I really loved hanging out with singers and performers. They were really fun, a lot more fun than instrumentalists sometimes. So I kind of wanted to like hang out with them. And I thought being in an a cappella group would be a really good way to do that. And also I wanted to arrange and direct and kind of just explore that world, that vocal world a little bit more.
All right. So this is where the seeds start to come together.
Yeah, exactly. So I go to USC, and then I audition for an a cappella group there, which is pretty much the best a cappella group at USC, which is the SoCal Vocals. I didn't get in the first time because I haven't been singing from, I like had a voice, but I wasn't a trained singer. I didn't really have experience singing. Right. So I was a little rough around the edges. So I didn't get in the first time. I got in the second time, which was in the spring of that year. And once that happened, I definitely couldn't see myself playing French horn professionally, which is not really ever what I wanted to do, but it was an instrument that I had that I could have a Bachelor of Music in. Right. So once I realized that, I kind of switched gears, and I was like, I'm just going to do jazz vocal. I'm going to switch out of French horn and really pursue that more. I was taking jazz piano lessons, trying to get into more advanced harmony. So I was really kind of shifting gears towards the vocal side. No one needed me as a French horn player anymore. So that's kind of when that happened. And at the same time, in SoCal Vocals, I was arranging. I became music director the next year. We started winning the international championship twice.
Wow. And you just joined.
I had just joined like a year and a half prior to that.
Wow.
Yeah. So then things started happening for the group. I started getting more involved with a cappella. I was also songwriting and music directing bands. There was a pop program starting at USC, which is now huge and awesome. Chris Sampson is the guy who headed it up and started it. He's a great mentor of mine. I took songwriting classes with him. He's fantastic. But yeah, so it wasn't only just towards a cappella, but just towards vocal music, towards pop music. I loved that world. I loved songwriting. I was writing with who now became Banks. I knew her as Jillian Banks, who I went to middle school, high school, and college with her. And I didn't really know she was a musician until college. She didn't really tell anyone or perform anywhere. She was very secretive about it. So we started working together, and that was a really cool collaboration. So I kind of just found this new vocal world. Wow. And at the same time, a cappella was getting more and more popular. Glee started happening. That was kind of the first thing. And then the sing-off took off.
And that was while you were in college?
That was while I was in college. That was like towards the end, junior, senior year. Things just kind of group vocal music started becoming more and more popular.
That's so amazing. It's like the universe conspired with you. Like everything came together at that exact moment. It's true.
Well, there's more creepy. There's more creepy timing beyond that.
Well, tell me.
So the sing-off happens. The SoCal Vocals, we put a group together of mostly alumni and some current members to be on season 1. And so I ended up arranging for that group. Even though I wasn't working for the show at the time, I was just arranging for fun, for free, for my friends. to get the arrangements on TV. It was really thrilling. And they were like, oh, we need, a Journey medley this afternoon because they changed our song, and we have to, they didn't have an arranger in the group who could do it that fast because they were on the show. They were rehearsing and they didn't have time. And I was just like in school at my internship. And so they would kind of call me, and I would just arrange for them just because they needed it.
And so how many people auditioned for it? Do you know? How many groups?
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
thousands?
No, hundreds.
Hundreds. Okay.
Hundreds.
And they picked what, 10?
They picked that first season. I think it might have been 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I'm kind of noticed by the vocal producer of the show, who's kind of the king of acapella, the father of modern acapella, Deke Sharon. Wow. And him and Ed Boyer, who was also a vocal producer on that show, and he's an amazing mixer that I still work with pretty much every day now on Pentatonix stuff and other stuff that I do. So both of them kind of noticed me, that I was arranging really quickly, and it was pretty good, and the group sounded good on it. And so they kind of kept that in mind. And then season 2 rolls around, and they need someone to add to their team who was local, because NBC didn't want to pay to fly someone out and house them and everything. Wow. So they needed someone who lived in LA, who could hang, who could coach groups, who could arrange quickly, and they brought me on. And
so that was the moment that everything else took off from, right? Like that was...
Yeah, that was the one thing. I mean, that was really the thing that convinced me that a career in a cappella was a viable option. Because until then, I didn't think that. I knew I wanted to do music. At that point, I wanted to, produce or arrange for like pop and co-write, music direct in like the pop music world. But I didn't consider that a cappella would be a viable career path as its own thing until the sing-off job happened. And the creepy timing that I was going to get to was the day that I graduated college was when I got the final call from the NBC producers, and we had interviews, and it was kind of...
That day?
Yeah, it wasn't a sure thing that I was going to get the job yet, so I was kind of waiting to hear back from them if it was all good. And at my graduation brunch was when I got the call from them to say, you got the job, we'd love to have you, we'll see you this summer.
Oh my God. Sometimes the world winks at you, and you have this synchronicity, and that's crazy timing.
Yeah,
that's
it was pretty weird. Totally. You have to prove that you can do it, and you can't just kind of ask for it and say, hey, can I work for the show? You have to, I didn't ask for it. I literally got a call from Deke saying, hey, you want to work on the show because we've seen your work. We know you can do it.
Exactly.
Come do this. And I wasn't even expecting that.
Yeah. So tell me what it was like the first day you worked on that. What was that like day one? How did you feel walking in there? What was that feeling like?
It was nerve-wracking. I mean, I was like a 22-year-old kid going into my first real job ever, and I'm working on a NBC primetime TV show, coaching singers who were much better than me and who were much older and more experienced than me.
Oh my God,
it was a little bit intimidating.
Like when you think about the sentence you just said, like your first job ever is on a national TV show. Yeah. Insane.
It was crazy. And we were there till midnight most of the nights, coaching groups and getting everyone ready. Yeah, it was great.
It's intense really fun. And amazing.
Yeah.
So what happens after how many seasons did you wind up being there?
So I was there for season 2, 3, 4, and then 5 was like a shorter season.
Okay. Wow.
It was more like a little special. So 2 through 5. And then kind of from the sing-off, a lot of other gigs and opportunities happened. The first one was working on Glee. The Warblers used to record the Beelzebubs, which is the Boston group from Tufts. It was like a real college group, and they would record them, and my buddy Ed worked on that and recorded them in New York, Connecticut, and then they ended up moving the Warblers out to LA and having session singers do it. Huh. So I was kind of called in with my friend Rob, who also worked on Sing Off, to come in and help coach and produce. Ed still arranged it and sent us the arrangement, and then we had Alvin Chia from Take 6, who's a legendary bass singer, come in and sing bass for this pretend high school group for Glee, and all these amazing session singers, Luke Edgman and a bunch of other people. and we got to kind of coach them, and it was really cool, really thrilling.
Oh my gosh.
And
So much fun.
yeah, it was great.
So here you are, you're working on Glee, and what happens after that?
So Glee, I believe the next thing that happened was Pitch Perfect. And,
It was such amazing confluence of events. It's crazy.
Exactly. Things just kind of spiral. One thing leads to another, and acapella is getting huge. And Deke Sharon, again, is kind of the main vocal guy for Pitch Perfect. And he brings me along to help him and Ed create the music, do a few arrangements, help record, help coach the actors through all their parts. Because we're dealing with actors, not singers. And there were some session singers that sang as well, but all the actors sang something. Whether it's just their solo or whatever it is, they all had to learn their parts and lip sync it correctly and record it correctly. So I was kind of there drilling it. I was in with Rebel Wilson, like showing her how to do whatever her part was, or with Esther Dean on her beatboxing section, or Anna Kendrick with her line here. Like, so that was a really cool experience going into the kind of fictional world out of the reality TV world into like, okay, this song is going to serve the story. And that was just a whole other bag of tricks too.
It was so amazing. And the truth is, not every movie is a smash. This movie was like epic. Like, people went crazy. That soundtrack broke records. It was like,
yeah, I mean, it was really the first thing to put a cappella in that, to show it in that light, to have this group of girls, like scrappy girls, pulling all their resources together to kind of bond over this really cool singing thing.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah.
I just want to give a shout out to Julia Michaels and Julianne Jordan, who are
I love them.
People I've worked with. I just adore them and so proud of them, what they've gone on to do from there. They just did Trolls, like amazing.
Totally.
Okay, so what happened after that? You did both Pitch Perfects?
So we did both Pitch Perfects, and in between the first and the second one, Pentatonix starts to happen. This is first.
Okay, so tell us about that. Where does that begin?
So it begins with Scott, who's the baritone, coming to USC in the pop program. He comes to USC the year after I leave. Mm-hmm. So I graduate 2010. He comes in the fall of 2010 and joins SoCal Vocals and is kind of this incredible young singer, just kind of carving his own path and doing his thing. And he also sang with this trio back in Texas, Kirsty and Mitch. The three of them happened to be in the same high school at the same time and put this trio together, and they won like some kind of radio contest for their version of Telephone. So I'd already seen that little trio video and saw that they had an incredible blend and charisma and like chemistry. So first I meet Scott. Yeah. Scott is the only one in LA at this point. Kirsty is in Oklahoma in her first year of college, and Mitch is in his last year of high school, still in Arlington, Texas.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
They're kind of all spread out, but they have had this kind of amazing singing connection in high school. So Scott is at USC doing the pop program. He's in my a cappella group that I have just graduated from. We meet up and talk, and my friend Rachel actually talks to him first because she was in another group that I put together for the Sing Off season 2 called The Backbeats, and she had an awesome experience, and she was friends with Scott, so she kind of talks to him, takes him out to lunch, and says, you should really do this.
He doesn't know this is like the biggest lunch of his life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So she was basically like, you should absolutely do this. This is going to be amazing. So that happens. Then Scott and I meet up and start kind of strategizing. So we have our kind of soprano, tenor, baritone, and now we need a bass and a beatboxer to really have a complete sound. We need the bass and drums because we have the harmonies and the leads already happening. Okay. So there was this guy that I went to a barbershop rehearsal with a long time ago, and he was supposed to come to the audition for Rachel's group, The Backbeats, but got sick, which also was probably weird timing because if he hadn't gotten sick, he would have gone to the audition and probably would have been in the group and then potentially not have been able to be in Pentatonix because he would have already been on the show. And I love how you see
it that way. That's really cool.
Yeah, just like a lot of weird things just kind of happen, and you look back later and say, oh, if that hadn't happened this way, things would have turned out totally differently.
And what was his name?
Avi Kaplan. So Avi was like a super bass. He is a super bass. Amazing low end. Is able to do like huge operatic bass sound and also like a vocal bass, like imitation of an electric bass kind of thing.
Wow, cool.
So he's good at everything. He's a very rare bird in that way. So I call Avi up and say, hey, there's this trio. We want to put together a group, a 5-person group for the show, for the sing-off. Are you interested? He's like, yeah, sure. Like he's seen their trio videos. Like they're awesome. That would be really cool. So now it's me, Avi, and Scott in LA trying to make it happen. The last piece of the puzzle is a beatboxer. And we go through a few different options, meet up with people that aren't quite right for one reason or another. Their groove isn't really right, or maybe they're a little too old and their look isn't quite right for the group.
Yeah.
You know, we kind of have a hard time finding this last piece of the puzzle. And then I visit Oregon and visiting my friend Jonah, and he shows me this video of this guy playing cello and beatboxing, and it's Kevin.
Wow.
And I was like, this is the guy. We've been looking for the guy, and that's him. We found him. I immediately
two such juxtaposition, and that's such a cool juxtaposition. The cello and beatboxing. Like I never would think one person would do both of those things.
Yeah. Which is why the video got so many views and why Jonah knew about it and showed it to me. So it's like, if Kevin hadn't have done that really cool thing, then we wouldn't have known about him. So after that happens, I send it to Scott. I was like, I have a really good feeling about this guy. He's musical. He knows exactly how to like perfectly accentuate what else is happening in the music without overpowering it, which a lot of beatboxers don't really know how to do. A lot of beatboxers are solo artists, and they go and they jam and they do their set, but they don't necessarily have to support another entity.
It's interesting.
But Kevin was incredibly musical and knew exactly how to do that because he had to kind of balance his cello playing with his beatboxing in a very musical way.
Right.
So after that, I reach out to Kevin. He went to Yale. We have mutual friends who were in the Whiff and Poofs who were on season 2 of the Sing Off. So I reach out to my Whiff and Poof friend who connects me with Kevin. And we're like, hey, we're starting this a cappella group. We think you'd be a really great fit. Do you want to come out to LA to audition with us? And Scott and I ended up splitting his plane ticket.
Oh my God.
And covering it so he could come out to audition with the group because we had such a good feeling about him and knew that it was going to be it. You know, this guy is the one.
Yeah, clearly. That's commitment.
Yeah.
So then what?
So then the only time they can all gather is the day before the audition. People were busy with finals and graduation and all that kind of stuff. And so everyone gathers at the SoCal Vocal house. We have a house that everyone lives in. So everyone meets there. Scott and I have arranged a couple songs for the audition, and they start singing through it. And Kevin and Avi, the bass and drums, they're kind of gelling instantly and have found this kind of mutual groove. And that's really important for the bassist and the drummer in any ensemble, but especially an a cappella group, to really have that groove together. So they were gelling, and the trio had been singing together for years, so they were killing it. And, you know, it wasn't the Pentatonix that we know today, but it was really great.
I can't believe you're meeting for the first time the day before the audition.
Yeah. Well, everyone comes with their parts learned.
But it's like, you just wouldn't think that. Okay. So then what happens?
They go to the audition and are totally awesome. And, you know, it's not phenomenal. It's not extraordinary, but it's something special. It's something different. And there's more of a potential for chemistry there than there are for most groups that get the audition for the show. So then they're on the show and they have an amazing run, season 3, and they end up winning. And being on the show kind of allows them to really find their sound, and they're doing a lot of the arrangements by themselves. And that was the name was something that Scott and I came up with, kind of texting back and forth. It's like, oh, the 5-note scale, pentatonic scale, 5 people. They also sing a lot of the pentatonic scale. Like when you do riffs and runs, it's like a lot of pentatonic motion.
It's amazing. You make like millions of decisions in your life, which mean nothing. And then you have a text conversation, and that text means like everything.
Exactly.
So they win. And then what happens after they win?
They win and they get a record deal with Epic. And at the time, Epic, they kind of know that it's not really going to work out with Epic. L.A. Reid was heading it at the time. I'm pretty sure he still is. But they kind of knew he wasn't super keen on a cappella and that it wasn't going to be a fruitful situation for them with that label. And they really wanted to find a label that really like got exactly what they were trying to do and could support them and make sure they could actually release music and not have them just sitting around for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So they end up getting out of that deal and going over to Madison Gate Records, which is more of just like a boutique soundtrack label, which is part of Sony. And they're basically just distributing at that point. So they're just kind of helping them along, giving them a little bit of money. And they're kind of making all the creative decisions on their own. And
when you say they, where are you in this picture?
This is Pentatonix and their manager Jonathan Coulter.
But you're arranging it, you're producing it, or is it?
So when we started doing recordings, which the first thing we did was PTX Volume 1, I'm arranging it, co-arranging it with them. Right. I'm recording it and producing it.
Right, so it's really you guys. It was like what you guys were doing, not them and you, but you're part of this whole ensemble.
Right, exactly. The whole team, and we were creating videos and doing
and you're the head of this team, right?
Yeah,
you're very humble. You're like, so what they were doing, and then they got a record. Like your baby.
it is, but it's really a complete collaboration. Like everything we do, they have such strong feelings about, and they have such input, and it's not at all me kind of leading them around. Like they are completely, we kind of just vibe so well and have this vision. So yeah, we really do everything together.
So that's beautiful that you think of it that way. And I'm sure it's true. I mean, that's what makes the chemistry so great, is that you give everybody a space to have a voice.
Exactly. Like when someone just does something and gives it to performers to do, it doesn't feel as organic as if they have a part in actually creating it. And that's, I think, why they've worked so well, is that you can really feel that it's everything they do is their style, their individual style and their group style. And it's not someone put a piece of music in front of them and they're just singing it. It's like, it's a lot deeper than that. After the sing off, they're starting to release videos, live videos mostly.
Yep. And
creating this kind of new fan base on YouTube.
Yep.
You know, branching off of their sing off fans, but it really starts gaining a lot more traction through other people. And that's really kind of what builds their brand.
Right. I mean, I know for me, that's when I became their fan, is watching YouTube videos. And they were just creating that content on their own.
Yeah. I mean, I filmed most of those early videos, and we did one which was the Gautier, somebody that I used to know.
Right. Amazing.
And that was kind of the big turning point. And I think that video was the biggest video they had done at that point. And so that kind of put them on the map more. And that was like a Huffington Post, you know, check out this band, did this cover of, you know, they started kind of getting that kind of recognition, which was really cool.
I'm just looking how many views that thing has on YouTube now. Just curious.
It's 56,600,000 right now.
Oh, that's it? Oh, that's too bad. You guys should aim a little higher next time.
And that was
56 million views.
And that was in 2012. That was forever ago.
Oh my God. Yeah, because now you have videos like the Hallelujah one, which is recent, which is 133,435,000 views from 4 months ago. In 4 months. Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh my God. Not bad, Ben. Way to go.
Thanks.
Yeah. So they start putting out all this content. The YouTube videos become sensational. Everyone's seeing this, and they're still with this label at this point. And they put out the record
with Madison Gate, and then at some point they switch over and kind of go label shopping and take a lot of meetings, and they end up going with RCA, which is also a Sony label, and they find a really great team there that kind of gets what they're doing and supports them, and also allows them their space to kind of create what they have been always creating.
Right.
I think a lot of labels try to take too much control over the creative side.
Yeah, of course.
And when you have an already successful act like Pentatonix, you know, you really just want to give them the freedom to just do what they've been doing and keep doing it. And that's what RCA has done, and it's been really great.
Since then, how has your life changed? I mean, when did you guys win the first Grammy?
That was 2 years ago.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Were you
So
freaking
that was
out?
2014. Yeah, it was insane. It was crazy. You never think. Like, you never expect it. You never expect to be nominated. And it was just a really cool experience.
What was that moment like when they called your name and you're like, Pentatonix? Oh
Well, it
my
was
God.
different from the first year to the second year was a very different experience because the first year we were all there in that room. So the best arrangement award is given out at the pre-ceremony. So it's like from noon to 3 and it's only streamed on the internet. So it's not the big
Not the same hype. Yeah.
televised
Right.
situation. You're basically there with all the other people who really care about the music and the engineers and all
Sure.
the work that goes into it.
Right.
And it's not about the glitz or the glamour. It's really just
Right.
about the music and the musicians. It's a really cool thing. A lot of really cool people there.
Probably even more fun for a lot of
Yeah.
reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a totally different vibe. It's
Yeah.
really just about music. So we were all there that first year and we all went up and I didn't say anything and Scott spoke and they spoke and it was great. And I just got to stand there and smile and have fun. And then the second year, they were performing with Stevie Wonder at the televised telecast. So
Insane.
they were rehearsing during that ceremony. So I was there with my family and friends, and I accepted the award alone on all of our behalf. So that was really scary. The music industry can be a pretty ruthless place.
Yes.
And,
Yes, it can be.
And I think what we've tried to do is surround ourselves with people who really respect humanity and, see beyond all that and really just are there for the music and for people.
To hear you say that, especially where you are now, where so many people would just wear such a huge ego and forget like why you love doing this. I ask this to a lot of our guests, and I'm just curious, like, because especially what you just said, like, what's your why? Why do you want to make music?
I make music, to lift people up, and also because I'm good at it and I don't have a lot of other skills. Yeah, no, I love making music and it's like a language to me. I'm better at it than English.
What do you think it is about people who are truly great? What do you think makes them great?
I think a lot of the time it's like their soul and their communication. You can have someone who's an amazing singer or an amazing guitar player or whatever it may be, and they're doing all the right things and they're playing all the right notes, but something isn't there about it.
Yeah.
And it's like that heart, that human connection that not everyone is able to communicate.
Yes.
There are certain people that it just flows so naturally. And when
Yes.
that is paired with extraordinary talent and work ethic, then you get the greats and you get people who are really able to touch lives.
That's so beautiful because it really is true that when you focus on what you can give and you really show up, everything comes together. And I love that that's still a law in the universe. It really is
Yeah.
true. Like PR can push all different kinds of things at us with marketing, but people know when something is coming from a
Yeah.
real place.
Yeah. And I think that's also a big part of why a cappella is so popular and why the group is popular is because they kind of present music in a unornate way. It's just kind of organic. It's coming from them. It's their voices, and it's beautiful. It's like it's nothing that's been oversaturated or
Right.
synthesized or
It's not modified. It's just
not
raw.
modified,
Yeah.
not marketed. It's just them and their voices,
Yeah.
and people really gravitate towards that.
So right now, what's your day-to-day like? You've won these Grammys and you're working with this incredible group that you put together. What else is going on? What's your day-to-day like?
My day-to-day is always different. Right now, we're working on our Volume 4 EP, which has been really great, really crazy, stressful, lots of deadlines to meet. But that's great. And then when that's not happening, I kind of have room for a bunch of other projects, which is really great. I do a lot of commissioned arrangements for scholastic and professional a cappella groups. I do some vocal contracting, so I'm like recommending singers for things and putting choirs together sometimes. I have a camp that I started with Avi Kaplan and Rob Dietz, who worked on the sing-off. So the three of us started a camp for high schoolers called A Cappella Academy. That's like the thing that the three of us are most proud of. Avi is in Pentatonix, and I've worked with Pentatonix, and we both won Grammys, and Rob has an amazing a cappella career that he's had, and the three of us just like really cherish our camp as the
So how
thing
does that
we're
work? If people are listening now and they want to audition to be in the camp, how does it go?
So it's for 13 to 18-year-olds. You send in an audition video with a bunch of kind of specific stuff that we lay out on our website, which is acapellacademy.org.
Okay.
And we get, over 500 submissions each year, and we kind of peel through them obsessively and listen and kind of pick out the people that we think would be a good fit, both musically and kind of the vibe that we're going for.
Sure.
Which is this kind of very egoless, generous musical community. And we really try to instill that in all of our campers and, tell them that, the music industry is a tough place, but they can make it better by infusing that humanity and goodness in everything that they do. But yeah, so camp, we have over 500 people audition. We choose about 60 to 70 each year, and they come from all over the world. This year we have people from Croatia, from Japan, Taiwan, New Zealand, all over the place. And they come together and we put them into groups. So we put them into like 8 different groups of all different musical styles. We have like a folk group, like a funky pop group. We've had gospel groups. It's all over the map. It's really fun. And we kind of put the kids in the groups based on their voice and their vibe and what kind of music they like. And we really try to create these distinct little pockets of musicality. And we have a bunch of incredible arranger directors leading these groups. So it's like 8 of our really good friends who are heading them up. And we have an amazing staff of instructors and counselors to help out. And we just kind of hang out for 11 days and put on a big showcase at the end. And we bring in guest groups and we go to the beach, and it's amazing.
So this is 11 days. It's in LA, and this is in the summer?
Yeah.
Wow.
June 29th through July 9th, I believe, this year.
So I imagine your auditions are already over.
Yeah. So we already have our groups. They're already starting to arrange and kind of figure out their set lists and everything.
Do you plan to do it next summer, in a year from now?
Oh, yeah. We do it every year. This is our 4th summer.
Okay, so people should...
And so it's an ongoing thing.
Unbelievable. I mean, bringing together people from all over the world in today's day and seeing them come together with this language, like this is the language the whole world speaks.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, and you've created that experience. That's amazing. So if somebody's listening and they wish they could be making a living doing a cappella, what's your advice to somebody?
Just do work. So many people in the music industry try to network before doing the work. They like try to push a product that's kind of been under thought and under studied, and if you do good work, things will happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that, and not focusing on how to get the gigs and all that stuff, but just really making something good and then putting it out there. And once you put in the work, then you can network more and send it out and everything. But
Right.
I would just put the emphasis on doing a lot of stuff for free.
Amazing.
Before you can get paid for it. I have a caroling company called Snowfall.
Oh my God. When do you sleep? Do you sleep?
A Jew with a Christmas caroling company.
But every great Jewish musician has a Christmas album, whether it's Barry Manilow or Barbra Streisand or Neil Diamond. Yeah.
Exactly. So I have a little caroling company that I started this year, and I want to keep that going and grow it. And basically, that's just an excuse to hang out with my singer friends and rehearse and get them gigs. And yeah, it's been really fun. So I just kind of want to keep expanding all the projects that I'm working on, taking on new ones, and that's it. That's
amazing. Where can people find you? What do you want to direct people to? Do you want to give them your website? Like, what do you want people to look at?
Oh, my website's whatever. It's thebenbram.com. There is just some stuff. I would say Acapella Academy, that's the thing that I'm most proud of. And I hope that if anyone listening knows any talented singers, 13 to 18, that you will pass that along to them. And if anyone in the LA area or outside of the LA area but is willing to fly us there, anyone wants Christmas carols, basically we do the Pentatonix Christmas arrangements in like a new 5-person group. So it's a rotating group, and we've done a bunch of gigs all over LA, and it's really fun. So if anyone is interested in that, the website is snowfallla.com.
Amazing. Wow. It's such an incredible story, but the best parts of it is how much gratitude you have and how much purpose you put into your work. It's truly extraordinary, and I'm so happy that people who are that good get to be successful. Like, that's how it should be, you know? So
thank you.
I know you're just going to continue to get to do a lot of cool stuff in this world. So awesome. That was so much fun to listen to. All right, so here are the 2 biggest takeaways that I think we can walk away with from what you just said. Number 1, when you get rejected, you keep going. I loved how he was just talking about how when he auditioned for USC, he didn't get into a music performance major. He got into USC proper, and he just went to school anyway. He wound up being in music industry as a major, and he just kept marching ahead. And then he auditioned for the SoCal Locals, and he didn't get in. So he worked on his craft, and the second time he auditioned, he got in. So incredible. The second thing was, you show up before you have any certainty. You just do the work anyway, and so many doors will open for you. And we talk about this all the time on this show, but he showed up for his friends who were on the sing-off, and while he was at school and while he was already spread really thin, he helped them. He was arranging for them. He was sending them stuff as a result of his enthusiasm and his hard work, and the fact that he showed up regardless of whether or not he knew anything was coming from it. He wound up being offered a job, and his very first job at a school wound up being at NBC. So I think that kind of attitude and work ethic is so paramount, and we can definitely walk away with that. So thank you, Ben. If you're feeling inspired, if you're liking what you're hearing, don't forget to subscribe on iTunes. And if you have a friend who you think would benefit from this, tell them about it. Leave us a review on iTunes. We want to know what you're thinking. We want to know what you want. And don't forget to like us on Facebook. We look forward to hearing from you. I want to give a shout out to the amazing team who makes this show possible. Special thanks to our executive producer, Tim Street, and producer, Emma Kikuchi. The podcast is a production of Authentic. For more info on advertising in this show, visit AuthenticShows.com.